Hello, I'm Julian Bucknall, the Chief Technology Officer for DevExpress, and I'm here today to show what we offer to RAD Studio XE7 VCL developers, be they Delphi or C++ Builder oriented. Given that we have so many controls, frameworks and libraries with so much functionality, this presentation will, of necessity, be a rather whirlwind tour. But we will have a Q&A session afterwards, so please do stick around. Now, I thought we'd start off with a brief overview of who we are and where we've been. I'm sure many of you know us and are already customers, in which case I thank you on behalf of our company for your support over the years. But it doesn't hurt to quickly go over some basic background. Developer Express, or DevExpress as we go by these days, was formed in November 1998, just over 16 years ago, with a grid control for Ball and Delphi 4. This grid is still the foundational control of our VCL subscription, although it has changed a great deal since those early days. That following year we added other control suites such as Express bars and updated the grid suite regularly. Our Delphi and then C++ Builder offerings increased in number rapidly until we had quite the breadth of controls for our Ball and customers. In those days, you could even purchase individual control suites, as was the norm in the market. Within a couple of years, though, we had expanded into the new and much wider market for .NET controls, both WinForms and ASP.NET, again with a grid control for each. You could say that grids are our lifeblood, as well as our passion. In the present day, DevExpress has a wide range of user interface products, from VCL to WinForms to Metro to HTML5 and JavaScript, from desktop to mobile. All our UI products are sold with full source code on annual subscriptions. For our VCL customers, we offer 4 packages. First of all, and most importantly, there's the full VCL subscription containing everything we provide for Delphi and C++ Builder developers. We support all modern Embarcadero IDEs with a subscription including RAD Studio XE7 for both Delphi and C++ Builder in both 32-bit and 64-bit flavors. For historical reasons, essentially to support long-established customers who were able to purchase individual controls back in the day, we provide 3 smaller packages. Express Grid Pack includes all of the grid controls, including the pivot grid, the tree list and property editor, together with layout support, skinning and all the data editors. Then we have the Express Quantum Pack, which removes the specialized grid controls. Finally, there's the Express Navigation Pack that contains the various toolbars, menus, and ribbon, navigation bars and so on. As I mentioned before, we offer annual subscription licenses for all our products. Purchasing an annual subscription gives you full access to all updates and upgrades we provide for the year. That's 2 major releases in June and December, and several minor releases, which tend to come out every month or so. Given that our hosts Embarcadero have released RAD Studio in the spring and in the fall for the past couple of years, this means that we will provide all required and needed updates to support the new IDE versions as part of your subscription for free. We offer a trial version for you to try out, as well as a 60-day no questions asked money-back guarantee should you not be satisfied with your purchase. All subscriptions come with full source code, no royalties and full technical support with a response within a business day. But enough of the background. You are here to get a quick overview of our controls in action using RAD Studio XE7. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be using our latest version, which is version 14.2. I'll start with a brief look at our Mail Client demo app. This shows an Outlook-style mail application built with DevExpress controls. Along the top of the window you can see our ribbon control, providing app-wide options and commands. Next are the grid control and the rich text editor, displaying a list of messages and a preview of the selected one. The navigation bar on the left hosts a tree list control and provides access to specific application modules. I'll select the calendar module. This is the DevExpress Scheduler control. It has multiple views for browsing and managing scheduled events and appointments. I'll now select the Contacts module. Again, we have an instance of the grid control with a preview pane. We can see additional presentation options such as images and rich text formatting. Another featured view of the grid control here is the card view, where each record previously shown as a row is now shown as a card. At this moment, I'll point out that our controls are fully skinnable. We ship our VCL packages with a full skinning or theming library, and this provides some 40 custom designed and polished themes to help you provide a professional look and feel to your applications with minimal work. Now let me switch to our real-to-world demo. This demo shows how DevExpress VCL can provide a Windows 8 inspired interface to your application. We provide a tile control that shows grouped tiles that are fully customizable, that can contain text or images, that are animated, that respond to touch as well as mouse. Activating a tile navigates to secondary detail pages. And in this demo we show how controls such as the grid, charts, pivot grid and various editors can act and look in this kind of Metro style application. Pre-compiled demos are all very well, but I'm sure you want to see how easy it is to build them. I'm going to show you this to you right now by creating the real-to-world demo you just saw. Well, at least the main part of it. Using the magic of Camtasia's video editor, I'll judiciously skip some of the repetitive and boring bits, otherwise we'll be here all day. So I'll start with a new VCL Forms application project and add the TDX tile control component to my form. First I'll specify the size of the tile items, the primary elements of the tile control's main page. I'll switch to the Object Inspector to adjust the corresponding properties, and switch back to resize the form and add tile items with required sizes. Having added the tiles, I'll now maximize the form size and hide the form borders. I'll specify the title for the tile control and center its content. I'll add a previously created data module with information on houses, sales, etc. to my project. Switching back to the main form, I'll add a skin controller and select and apply a dark skin to my application. Now to add a button to the tile controls action bar to close the app. I'll assign an image from the DevExpress icon library to the button and make it close the application on a click event. What I'll do now is to make the largest tile item display house photos with a sliding animation. I'll assign the first image to it and then add a further 4 frames with other images. Ditto for a tile item to display photos of realtor agents with a similar animation. Again, I'll assign an image to it and add a further 5 frames with images. I'll select all the other tile items to specify their common image and text alignment settings. Then I'll link an image list stored in my data module to the selected tile items, and consecutively assign images from this list to corresponding tile items. Now that's done, it's time to specify the tile item captions. And now let's colour the tile items. It's time to run the application and see what we've done so far in action. As you can see, the images we specified for the house and agent tiles automatically slide in with a nice animation. Cool, it works. So let's handle some tile clicks and add some detail pages. I'll specify titles for the detail pages of the agents and listing tile items. I'll add a new VCL frame to my project to serve as a container for the agent's detail page. This frame will store another tile control, this time aligned to the frame's left edge. I'll set the size of its tile items and change their layout to vertical. Time to add 6 large tile items to this tile control and assign the photos of realtor agents to them. Done. Now I'll add a grid control next to the tile control to display the details on the houses being sold, filtered by agent. I'll save the frame and add a reference to my data module. Now I'll link the grid's data-aware table view to the corresponding data source. The grid is automatically populated with columns bound to data source fields. I'll make visible only some of them. I'll move the photo column and set it to display images. I'll set up the address column to display multi-line text. Let's rename 2 other columns. Now to switch back to the main form and add a reference to the recently saved agents frame. I'll handle the agents tile items click event to create this frame on tile activation. I must make sure the grid view displays only data related to the currently selected agent. I'll do this by filtering the dataset bound to the view. Time for another trial run to see how the agents tile and its corresponding detail page work. Okay, I see I've got to tweak a couple of grid properties to improve the appearance of cell contents. Looks good. That's nice. Time for the research page. I'll add another VCL frame for the research detail page to display the dashboard data. I'll add a group box to the frame. And place a new grid control into it. This grid control will display a line chart, so I'll replace the data-aware table view created by default with the chart view and set it to display the line diagram. I'll save the frame, add a reference to the data module and link the chart view to the corresponding data source. Now to invoke the grid's design time editor to customize the chart view. I'll add 4 series to the chart. Note that the series were bound automatically to corresponding data source fields by the grid control at the previous step. Then I'll define 2 data groups, controlling the level of detail in my chart, and adjust the chart settings specific to the line diagram. Now I'll add a data-aware pivot grid to the frame and link this pivot grid to the data source containing the data on house sales. This automatically adds pivot grid fields that are bound to data source fields. I'll simply move them to the required positions using drag and drop. I'll hide filter fields and adjust the display of the totals. I'll set the date field bound to a date-time data source field to group data by years. Then I'll add another field called month and bind it to the same date-time field but set it to group data by months. I'll set the filtering and moving capabilities that are common to all of the created pivot grid fields. Then I'll add a splitter control to the frame between the pivot grid and the group box and save my changes. I'm going to switch over to the code editor now to override the frame constructor with the initialization code for the pivot grid and grid control. Then I'll switch to the main form to handle the research tile items event to create this frame on tile activation, just as I did with the agent tile items event handler. Time to run the application again to see how it's all working. Both the Research and Agents detail pages now display relevant data, and I can use the pivot grid and grid controls to analyze it as required. Of course, as I said at the start, this is only part of the functionality implemented in our real-to-world demo. And here it is again. But I hope that I've shown you enough in this whirlwind "let's create a demo app" to reassure you that with the DevExpress VCL Controls you can create modern applications with a beautiful and functional user interface. Thank you for listening and watching this presentation. I do hope that it has been informative and that it gave you some feel for what we are passionate about in the VCL UI space. We'll now have a question and answer session, but remember, if you want to get a hold of me to ask a question or provide some feedback, there's my email address. I've also provided my Twitter handle for conversations in 140-character chunks, should you prefer.
Is there a way, can people create their own custom themes and skins as well, or is it the ones you deliver?
They're just the ones we deliver. We will help you. So let's go back a little. The easiest way to create a theme is to basically take an existing theme and then modify it. We'll help you do that. So if you have, for example, a particular color scheme for your application, for your company, and you like a particular theme that we have already, then we'll help you, change that, change the colors, for example, or the fonts to suit your particular application and your particular internal, company-wide look and feel.
Okay, and the reason I asked that because of my first question about that you do your own custom painting, and you've done it long before we did our work in the VCL Manager. But what it means is that if someone wants to use some of our themes and the controls, they can create a theme on our side that matches the theme that you already have, and if they like something we're delivering, they could work with you to create the theme that looks the same, for example.
Certainly, yes.
Yep. Yeah. So, and then do you? I don't know how many themes there are. I have to go back and go look at the list again.
We have something like 40 themes.
Yeah.
Some of them are kind of peculiar. So a Valentine's Day theme or something like that. But some of them, which to be honest, you're in a company and you're in their back office, and you're given this application, this Delphi application, and that's what you use. The fact that we have a fun theme for those special days actually makes your job a little bit more fun, if you like.
Yep.
Yeah, but normally they're just basically Microsoft Office type themes. So especially these days with the flatter look and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, and it used to be called, I guess, the Metro look. The what is it? Blue, orange, and the green. You have those.
Yes.
So then, if somebody wanted to choose those, we also have those in the Delphi VCL Theme Manager side. Those same choices of the Metro style or whatever. I think we still use that name as part of the file name. So there's some commonality there to get, so it's not jarring as you're mixing and matching components that are VCL theme versus DevExpress themes. Great. Okay, so enough of me hogging the conversation and the questions. Let's go to the log, and you've already put some of the answers in. I guess it's Ian and also Antonio. There's sort of two variations of the question that I knew would come up. Do you currently have any grids for FireMonkey? And you answered that, and you can expand if you want. And then Antonio was saying, do you have any plans to support FireMonkey?
So we have plans to support FireMonkey. We've been monitoring what FireMonkey does and how FireMonkey works. I will point out to everybody, I'm sure everybody knows, VCL is not FireMonkey and FireMonkey is not VCL. It's not like we can, they're exactly the same APIs in both. Now, we've been monitoring FireMonkey ever since the very early days, was it Delphi XC? I can't remember now. This is,
XE2 was the subset using Free Pascal. I really think of XE3 as the first one that brought Windows and Macintosh full what we would call FireMonkey. But go ahead, sorry.
So we look at FireMonkey in two different ways. First of all is the desktop FireMonkey, if you like, and then there's the mobile FireMonkey. Let me first of all talk about the mobile FireMonkey. We have no plans at present to support FireMonkey on mobile devices, and the reason for that is we have our own products for mobile, and I won't go into them here, but if you go to DevExpress.com you can find out about them. So we have our own path, if you like, into the mobile world, and we're supporting other technologies for mobile. Now, for FireMonkey on the desktop, we've been doing every release of RAD Studio, we do more experiments on creating some of the controls that we have in FireMonkey. A, to test the, if you like, the underlying API of the runtime, and B, to test the performance. And I have to say that our last experiment with XE7, way back in September, led us to believe that things are getting to the point where we could support FireMonkey with on the desktop, so Windows and the Mac. Then we get into the problem of resource allocation. We have a huge VCL library. The video showed, if you like, just part of that in the by looking at a particular demo, and but the video didn't talk about things like the spreadsheet control that we've just had released in the past 6 months. Things like gauges for dashboards, the map control for VCL, and so on and so forth. We have a great deal of functionality still left, if you like, to write and to implement for VCL, and we don't have the resources to be able to essentially take the team, divide it into two, and say, okay guys, you're working on FireMonkey, you're working on VCL. So at the moment I think you might say we're resource constrained a little bit to support FireMonkey with a control set. And you've got to realize, if we suddenly say, okay, we're going to do a FireMonkey control or a FireMonkey suite, people are going to jump all over us saying, well, I need the grid, I need the spreadsheet, I need the whatever it may be, the tree list. We're going to have a pretty full suite to begin with. So again, it talks about resource constraints and so on and so forth. Yep. So I'd have to say at the moment, don't expect any FireMonkey controls from us. If we do some, we'll certainly be announcing it, and we'll do it piecemeal, I would have to say.
Yep. And let's see, Sherman saying best component library for Delphi, without a doubt. Thanks for this presentation.
Oh, thanks, Sherman. Yeah, lovely.
And then there's a question, is the mail application one of the demos that comes with DevExpress?
Yes, it is. The demos that you saw, the mail app right at the beginning, plus the Real-to-World app, they're demos with the subscription. You get full source code. You can plow through it and see how we did things. I mean, obviously with the Real-to-World demo, we were basically trying to show how little code you have to write to be able to get a great UI. But obviously, we didn't show any of the data access or anything like that. So, yeah, you get all source code. You can see how we did it. You can see how to implement that into your own applications, or maybe even take something like the mail demo application and make that as a template for your own application.
And then, since you have data-bound controls through data sets and data sources and so on, right? Then, if somebody's using DBExpress or they're using FireDAC or something else, they're
yes.
Okay, right?
We support that. I would point out that with the grid in particular, we have a server mode for the grid, so that you can point the grid at a multi-million row database table, and it will still work extremely quickly. We have special code in there, which we call server mode, to only download to your device, to your PC, those records which are going to get displayed. And I point out nobody else has that.
Yep. And then, I had one other question. If someone goes to DevExpress, will they find video demos, or do they just download the trial? Will they find different demos that, or videos to help them understand the different controls?
Videos, we're slowly adding videos with the new controls and the new functionality we produce as part of our releases. But you'll be able to download the trial run. One of my guys in the team has just pointed out we have the demos that I demonstrated. They're available as executables, so you can download those. Basically go to devexpress.com/VCL and you'll be able to get everything you need.
Excellent. There was an off-topic question about VoIP, and Jose, just search Delphi and VoIP and you'll find all sorts of components and libraries for voice over IP. Unless there's something in the DevExpress VCL controls for voice over IP, Julian?
No.
Yep.
Back in the day with TurboPower, when I worked at TurboPower, we'd have stuff like that, but no.
Yeah, no, that's how far back Julian goes. And unfortunately, I go, I guess. I mean, originally when I first joined in Borland in '85, and during that time and the few years after that, TurboPower was right across the street here in Scotts Valley with Kim Kekkonen and the guys.
That's right.
And we used to meet up at Malone's. It's a local eatery pub right along Scotts Valley Drive as well. We used to meet up there or just walk across the street. But in any case, that's really off topic. That's more for Delphi Week, yes. February 9th through 13th. Alex is asking, and you mentioned C++ Builder support. Do all the components work in C++, or are there any limitations?
No limitations. They all work with C++ Builder in both 32-bit and 64-bit. And the same with Delphi, 32-bit and 64-bit.
Jermaine saying, in the demos of the product, there are two skins for Metro interface, white and black. Are there the other ones? And I mentioned there's like the green and the blue-orange.
I'm going to have to ask the team
okay.
what we have. I don't have the demo here, so I can't quickly flip it up on my screen. Let me. No, I don't. So I'd have to ask the team. Best bet, German, is to email me at that email address you see on the screen, julianb@devexpress.com, and I'll get you some more information.
And excellent VCL components. We've been very happy with all the work, and we still are happy. I don't want to say it in the wrong way. All the work DevExpress is doing, seriously, because, well, I mean, we've been together for a long, long time. So,
oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And there's so much Windows-specific and VCL work to be done moving forward. I mean, the Metropolis stuff came in 8. Now we're all involved in the Windows 10 kind of preview world with more capabilities, and we've got it. I've got it in a VM. We've got it all over R&D. So we're working to make sure that VCL continues to be supported and enhanced and work with the next major release. I guess it's the last. I always get confused in their announcement. It's in a sense the last release of Windows because they're just going to continuously update it for the rest of time.
That's right.
Like
that's right. So it's
OS 10 and iOS, right?
Yeah. So it's just going to be Windows 10, and as far as we understand as well, there'll be no Windows 11. It'll just be a release, a minor release, update here, update there, and so on and so forth. Which is why they're planning to give it away for the first year to encourage everybody to go to Windows 10. And once that happens, all your new PCs will have Windows 10, and you'll pay for it then. But yes, we're exactly the same position as you. Yeah. We're going to be supporting it. We're going to be making sure all of our products, including the VCL subscription, works with Windows 10.
Yeah, and taking advantage of, hey, if there's some new UI paradigms or other functionality in Windows platform, you know, the Windows in our world, native code, Intel, processor platforms, and then we'll see what happens about Windows on other chips and so on in the future. But there's plenty of work to be done and plenty of use of all the skills everyone has in Delphi and C Builder for the VCL for years to come. And at the same time, there's, as you see in Julian in the Q&A, there's more people cheering you on about FireMonkey as well. But as Julian knows, my job and our job here as part of developer relations is just to make everything available and brief all the partners on what we're doing with releases and getting them on the betas and encouraging them. But it's not our business decision to make. As Julian clearly outlined, everyone, each of our technology partners make their own investment solutions for their companies, for their businesses, and for their customers.
Yes, agreed, totally.
Yep. And I guess it was last year I went to a DevExpress event at Microsoft office in San Francisco. And I always called it DXtreme or Dextreme. I don't know what the term is. So but the cool JavaScript HTML5 stuff's really neat.
Yeah. We started off by calling it DXtreme, and we renamed it after a year or so to DevExpress.
Okay.
And essentially, yeah, it's essentially the same thing. It's an application framework for creating mobile apps with HTML5 and JavaScript. Yep. And we target iOS and Android. And
no, the time moves on so fast. It probably was a couple years when I went up, and because I got a little bag and brochure, and it was DXtreme. Remember that? So that'll time it. That was what it was called then. So whenever that was. But it was great. It was great. I got the chance to sit in on a DevExpress session live in an office, so it was pretty neat. Julian, as always, it's great to hear your voice. I guess we just don't see each other in airport lobbies that often, or hotel lobbies, or but maybe I'll make
not anymore, unfortunately. Yeah. But thank you very much for having us here, or me here, and allow me to talk about DevExpress. Thank you.
Excellent.